This angle was already destroyed when Moxley and the D Riders, which is a funny name, teamed up with Chris Jericho. Because, first of all, how does he even get in that situation? 90% of his matches are people who he's involved with. For example, the Fatal 4-Way, he challenged the other three for it. It's not like someone booked Jon Moxley. In kayfabe, who booked this 6-man or I guess 12-man tag team match? And why would the D-Riders agree? Jericho is everything Moxley and the Riders stand against. He should hate him. And no, not just dislike him, not just be kind of annoyed with him throughout the match. No, he should bag him like he bagged Bryan Danielson the moment he saw him. The only thought process for that match was that they're both heels, they're both bad guys, so they should be able to team together. But no, it doesn't make any sense for them to team up together. Moxley's whole thing, as much as there is one, because it's a very weird and unexplained character motivation, but from what I could gather is that he's trying to bring AEW into shape. To push the young people or even people who are in the middle of their career to be stronger, to be more tough, not baby them anymore, become a tough guy, right? And Chris Jericho is all about being an old dipshit who hogs the spotlight in real life and even in his character. Moxley should have put a bag over his head the moment he did his entrance. It's not even a question. It's not even funny. They should have destroyed him and recruit Big Bill or something. Or Big Bill should have went to feud with them as well. That would make the most sense. And as I already mentioned, all the promos these guys do are incoherent. I don't even know what they're yapping about half the time. And a lot of the time, they're not even related to their actions. For example, at this last Dynamite, I think it was Claudio, or might have been Moxley, who said something along the lines of, "We don't want to kill AEW, we want to whip it into shape, we want everyone to be the best they could be, and that's how they should beat, that's why they should beat us, because they're so good that they beat us and we're the tough guys," whatever. And then I think it's Pac who, later, or maybe in the same segment, says something like, "I'm here to burn." He does it with English accent. "It's fucking too. I'm here to burn AEW to the ground, bruv." And I'm like, hold, you just you're part of this group, and your goal is to destroy or burn down AEW. But the other people's goals in the group are to just whip it into shit. There's no consistency here. Nobody knows what they're doing. It's an incoherent mess, and none of them are great promos. Okay, when Claudio has to cut a promo, you know you're in a dire situation. And this storyline also kills all the baby faces every single time, because they're gonna get beat every single time, and they're made to look stupid every single time. Especially in the Fatal 4-Way, it made not even the baby faces, even the heels, look like complete morons. And there's a complete lack of tension because, one, we know nobody's beating Moxley because he's the embodiment of Brock Lesnar and the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. By which I mean, AEW doesn't have a lot of big guys, so Moxley, who is, a pretty big guy compared to the rest of them, looks like Brock Lesnar in WWE. Compare Moxley to Brock Lesnar and the way Brock Lesnar is in WWE, well, that's how he's compared to the rest of the roster here. Keep in mind, in WWE, CM Punk is kind of an average-sized guy, In AEW, he was one of like the tallest people. So Jon Moxley is not only look like a monster compared to the rest of these guys, but he's booked like Brock Lesnar. He's booked to beat the absolute piss out of everybody, right? He squashes them or beats them or whatever. I mean, remember his feud with CM Punk where he squashed him in like 8 minutes? That was insane. That was some Brock Lesnar level stuff, right? But he's also booked like Roman Reigns in the sense that every freaking single D Rider match ends with some sort of interference. So he's like Roman with Solo in the Bloodline, except nobody cares. With the Bloodline, you hate Solo, you hate Roman, you want Cody to finish the story. But in this, nobody cares, nobody asked, nobody's mad if he loses, nobody's mad if he wins. I mean, people will be happy when he loses because the story sucks, but it's not like they're invested into Moxley as a character or into any of the heroes that want to challenge him. And this is the problem. Aside from killing everybody because nobody can beat him and everyone interferes in their matches, there's also the problem of, spoiler alert, Darby is the one who's gonna defeat Moxley. So we're gonna have to wait like half a year with babyface and heels trying to get to this guy with no amount of tension, no amount of, oh, is this guy gonna win? Is this guy gonna win? No, they're not going to win because we know Darby is planned to dethrone him, and Darby is going in like March or something to Mount Everest to climb the freaking mountain, and he's not coming back at least until like April or May. And then they're gonna have like a month or two building him up to face Moxley at All In Texas, where he finally, hopefully, dethrones him. But because we know this, because somehow everything in AEW gets leaked like 6 months ahead of time somehow, like Tony Khan does not book like weeks in advance. He books week to week in every single story, but somehow we already know the finish for this one. And the worst story in the company outside of like Chris Jericho's stuff, which at this point might be better even, that one is the one he chose for the world title, and that one he chose to, book so long in advance. But anyway, the tension is not there. It's killed. There's no suspense for anyone beating Moxley because Darby is going to do it, hopefully, at least at All In. Hopefully it's not like further, because that's going to kill everybody. And by everybody, I mean everybody watching, okay? Not like the characters. No, they're going to kill me watching this stuff because it's horrible. Speaking of tension and stakes, there's also no stakes in this freaking company anymore because it's kind of like Dragon Ball, right? In Dragon Ball, I never fear that somebody is going to die because they have the Dragon Balls. So they're just going to come back. The same way, I don't fear for any of the babyfaces or heels or anything unless it's a real injury. Even when it's a real injury, I don't know, because Darby Allin legit got into a car crash, legit broke his foot, legit got hit by a bus, and legit is going to climb Mount Everest. And I don't even know if he's gonna be affected at any point in any of this. I feel like he's gonna come back the next Dynamite and have a match, and he doesn't care. And if he doesn't care, why should I care? Even his real life injuries, he doesn't like selling, which is insane. But what I was getting at is that I'm pretty sure it was 2 different times where the D-Riders poured bleach or Clorox or whatever, something, down Orange Cassidy's throat. That should have killed him. If that was real, it would have killed him. But it doesn't, and he doesn't even, sell it. Like the first time, it almost felt like it didn't do any damage to him. They had to do it again, and then he was like, oh, I really, my throat and like my stomach, oh, it's fucked up. You should be in the hospital. You should be dead. The fact that you're still alive is a miracle. but they're not treating it like that. Like, they killed this guy, and they're treating it like, oh yeah, I guess they killed him. Well, see you next week. What? What do you mean? When they killed, quotation marks, Bryan Danielson, well, that was his retirement. He was out of there. He was gone. He didn't come back. It was a great start for the story because it had stakes. So, like, oh my god, they basically killed one of the best wrestlers ever. And then we never seen him ever since, right? I haven't even seen him like in public and like, you know, a podcast or like a interview or anything like that since then, you know. But then Orange Cassidy gets the same treatment plus Clorox or something down his throat that should kill him, and he's like fine. He like comes back and he's like, oh, my tummy hurts. What are you talking about? And the problem is, as I said earlier, it kills everybody in the story, and at least at some point, this story had like 80% of the main event guys in it. Like, all the main event guys at some point were in the story. It was like Orange Cassidy, Hangman Page, Jay White, Adam Copeland, and Cope, and FTR. I'm like, dude, this is like most of your main event scene, right? And you're like killing all of them so Darby Allin can come back at some point. Okay, I guess. I guess. Why do they have a problem with like Cope? Like, what's their problem with like Cope? Like, why are they going after Cope? But Jericho, nah, he's fine. You know, we'll even team up with him. What are you talk? You should kill him. Kill Chris Jericho in real. No, I'm sorry. Kill his character. You know, why is he still around? Like, what is happening? And because this is the main story, it really drags down the whole show, especially when it's all over the place, like it was like this last Dynamite. And it's not helped by the undercard, because Cope and FTR lost all credibility with me because of their like rah-rah speeches, like every single. At some point, it felt like, especially after the CM Punk interview, like last year around WrestleMania, Adam Copeland, Edge, whatever, Cope came on like 2 or 3 different times, cutting promos like, I love AEW, like the same with like FTR. AEW helps me feed my family. I love my family, and AEW helps me provide for my family. Like, oh my god, the glazing is crazy, bro. The glazing is crazy. And then like Copeland, Edge, whatever. You're not even part of the. You just came in like a few months before you cut this promo, and you're arguing that this is like the best. This is where the best wrestle, guys. This is where the best wrestle. Nobody cares where the best wrestle. Okay, what people care about is good stories. Fuck, I don't know. Copeland and FTR, I soured on them. Jericho sucks in general, and I don't think a lot of people would disagree. Women's division is so poorly booked. Like, they had something with Toni Storm and Mariah May, but they put it on Collision, which nobody is watching. And before you say, well, people should watch it, that's why they put it there, so people will watch it. Well, you can't put one segment that's going to be good and not advertise that is going to happen and book it as a surprise and expect people to like tune in when that's the only thing on the show that's even relevant to anything. You can't even tell me what happened on that show. I challenge you. Nobody can, because nobody watches that. And whatever Monet is doing, and whatever happened with Statlander and Willow, I don't even know. I'm not even sure. Okay. Then you have MJS feuding with like a 50-year-old man, Jeff Jarrett, which is kind of embarrassing. The tag division is in shambles. The Hurt Syndicate, which are awesome, by the way. They themselves are awesome. It's just the fact that there's no credibility for anybody to like have a match with them, and they squashed the champions to get the titles. Says so much about this division, right? I mean, it was already bad when the Young Bucks and FTR were still in the division, but at this point, they're not even in because they're feuding with someone else or they're not there. And Omega and Ospreay are kind of the only hope of this company right now, except they speedrun like a month's long story in like a 15-minute segment, just so this week they can just basically not do anything interesting with them. Why not just spread it out, dipshit? Why did they team up so fast in last week if this week you're not going to add anything interesting? Why not have them still be at odds last week, just, by circumstances teaming up against like the bad guys, and then this week you can have them being like still begrudgingly, you get it, teaming up, but they're more willing, and you could do this for like a few weeks until they finally just like team up completely instead of wasting it in 15 minutes. And don't say I'm just saying this to hate on AEW. I really liked AEW in like 2021, 2022. And I don't even like everything WWE does. If you want to say I'm a WWE shield, I only watch Raw. I don't watch NXT. I'm sorry, and I don't watch SmackDown because it's kind of boring recently. So there's points in time where I would only watch SmackDown because that's where interesting stuff happened, when it was Roman Reigns and the Usos and Sami Zayn and all that stuff. That was very intriguing. I was watching that. Now you have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and whatever on Raw, so I watch Raw. It is the way it is. I barely watch Dynamite. I watch the clips of Dynamite, but even from the clips, I'm like, this sucks. If we look at what WWE does well right now, it's interconnected characters with clear motivations and sometimes ambiguous morals. AEW feels like, with this Deer Rider story, like they have a cult leader on an ambiguous mission that just kind of beats up people and doesn't match who he's feuding with what he's saying. It also doesn't help that this is the 50th AEW versus somebody thing on the show, right? Like, you had the whole thing with the Elite versus AEW. You have, the Outsiders when Tony Storm and Paige and all those people came in versus AEW. You had whatever versus AEW. Like, it's always someone versus AEW. It's like CM Punk versus AEW. It's like WWE versus AEW. It's that versus AEW. Like, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of this defending, dick riding your own company, right? And it's a bad fucking product. Fuck you. Especially since the evil empire went back to being the Republic. Now people like WWE. So you trying to be like, we are AEW. We are not like WWE. Well, when WWE is good and doing well, you're basically saying you suck, okay? If WWE sucked and you're like, we're not like them, the message would be like, yeah, that means you're good because you're not like them. But when they're good and you say you're not like them and you do your best to not be them, then you suck. And this Dead Rider story is just the epitome, the peak, the most obvious symptom or disease, I should say, coming out of this creative process of Tony Khan. And apparently Jon Moxley himself, because he's the one booking. And he's horrible at it. And also, they don't have somebody who can cut a promo. If you had somebody like a CM Punk, who is good at doing the cult of personality, ironically, or just the cult shit in general, you could have a good story in your hand. Punk could have done this pretty well. It would have made thematic sense, as he's hated by AEW fans and whatever. Yeah, it could have worked. Hell, you could have had someone like Roman Reigns. That's what the Bloodline kind of was. It was a cult, but a family cult. It was a cult of personality around Roman Reigns, and it was a cult around Roman Reigns. And the way he was treating, abusing, misusing, everything that could be bad was bad. He was doing it, but he was doing it well, so people were into it. This is like, we have Bloodline at home, except instead of like Samoans, you have annoying white dudes who are not related. They're just annoying. And also, I forgot the name of the girl in the group. If you're not gonna have her take titles from like Mercedes or something, just get her out of there. She's a girl, a woman, whatever, who goes around doing nothing. Absolutely not. What's she gonna do after this angle? if she's not even going after any of the titles or has any time for herself in the women's division. This just sucks.